We've had visionary leaders and progressives like, the Fasholas, the Fawemis, the Sarawiwas doing very good for Nigeria. If others embrace their vision, what is stopping us as a nation from moving forward?
The people you mentioned, if I may latch on to that one, are people who think globally while acting locally. When I say thinking globally, take Governor Fashola, for example. He looks at the world around us, especially the developed nations that are mostly concentrated in the West. And he sees how they've come about, the things that they have done, and how they have, quite a number of them are actually post-industrial now. They used to be industrial nations, but they don't do that anymore. They're mostly economies that just manipulate figures. But they've earned that right. But he's looked at what they've done and the times that they were acting locally on the other side of the ocean. And he's applying that in the state that he's currently governing. Sarawiwa is like that as well. Sarawiwa was not someone who tried to change all of Nigeria, but he started by speaking for his own ethnic group. He acted locally towards a global objective. Now, if we as a nation would look at people like that and take a cue from them, then each person would start to act wisely and differently in his own home and do things differently. So Fashola has a state to govern. Sarawiwa had an ethnic group to represent. Basically what I'm driving at is let every man see himself as the change. Everyone needs to see himself or herself as the hand that will move Nigeria in the right direction. That's something that I see that is common to those people that you've mentioned. And if we can take a cue from them and people start doing things locally, because at the end of the day, the government can only do so much. And I like to tell people this, the government of Nigeria currently do not need Nigerians to be successful. There is abundance of crude oil. So the government mines the crude oil and sells the crude oil to get enough money to share. So they don't need the people because they don't need the taxes of the people. So Nigerians have to wake up to the fact that our lives are in our hands as long as we have oil and have the kind of government that we've got. So people should find a way of becoming more industrious and live as though the government is not going to save the day.
And I gotta say, I like the catchphrase, thinking globally and acting locally. Absolutely. I'm gonna have to go with that one.
Run with it.
Which takes me to my next question. What are the obstacles the people are facing? What needs to change? I'll let you, Mr. Femi Job, go with that.
What needs to change? Well,
don't say everything.
It's a long list. It's a long list, so I would just stay local.
I like
and
that.
Think global.
And sound global.
The leadership of Nigeria needs to change. And the followership also needs to change. Nigeria has been, should I say, cursed with leaders that are corrupt, greedy, self-serving, and leaders that don't have the intentions of the people in mind. In other words, a leader is almost like a god in Nigeria instead of a servant, which is supposed to be. The leadership, for so many years, they say something, they do something, they could promise the people that they would change, they vote for them, and then they do something else, usually when they see the money. So corruption has become entrenched in Nigerian society from top to bottom. Corruption is now an institution. Unless we roll back, I don't even mean roll back, unless we overhaul the whole system in terms of corruption, I'm not sure Nigeria can make significant progress forward.
Okay,
so the people and the leaders all must change.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, it starts from the top at the leadership.
No. It's every direction at once.
Okay.
But the leadership is so corrupt that everybody knows they must be changed. But also, even the grassroots are corrupt. And that's because of poverty and of so many things that force people into making choices that they would normally not make. The system is almost like it's choking the life out of the people. It's not serving them, it's destroying them. So everyone from the top to the bottom must change.
Okay, and Mr. Titus Olowokere, what is your opinion on that?
Well, I'd like to piggyback on what my colleagues actually said, and I agree with them entirely, to think local and act globally. I have a friend in California, and I read some of her emails. One of her email tags says, I am Nigeria. The change starts with me.
Yeah, awesome.
And I think that's a key factor in this place. We can't blame the leadership completely. We can't blame the grassroots. We should blame me. We should blame you. We should blame each and every one of us. When each and one of us takes responsibility for the development and growth of the country, that change will radiate. Others will take the cue and they will learn from it. Look at the most successful revolutions in history, both in past and in present. The recent revolution on codes in Egypt it started with just one person. It went on Facebook, and then the change gravitated to the others, and they also need to have a change in government. Even in Libya, it started with just one person. We don't know who that person is, but a thought came to someone, and they shared the thought with somebody else. They had a change in attitude, and they saw they need to make a change in government. How they made that change is a different ballgame. But the point is, every one of us must have responsibility, must take ownership for making that change in the country. When we start passing the buck to the others, then we're not facing the music. President Jonathan today is the leader, but then if the change also starts with him as a leader, it goes to the House of Assembly, it goes to everybody else. So what I'm saying in too many words is, we are Nigeria. The change should start from each and every one of us.
Okay, I like that too. I'm going to go with that.
Absolutely.
The change starts from me, starts from you, and you. So definitely, I'm hoping that the viewers at home are taking notes on that.
And just before you move on, if I may just add a line to the issue of leadership and followership, I believe Nigeria needs to adopt the principle of demand and supply. When you have politicians who come and promise heaven and earth to get into power, once they get into power, what do the followers, the people, do to demand them to fulfill those promises? Because if we don't put some pressure on them and make the right demands, they're not going to supply anything that they've promised. So I think, just like you rightly said, it's a problem of leadership, but that problem is going to continue to be if the followers don't do something to help the problem by making a demand for change and for commitment to things that are promised during campaigns.
Thank you very much for that.
If I can chip in something, again, I'm not trying to be overly optimistic. I like to be a realist. In the case of the point you just mentioned, it's part of the dynamics of politics.
Awesome.
All over the world. People campaign, they make promises, they promise to change, to go to heaven and bring God himself down to earth to make changes. When they get to government and you ask them, have you fulfilled your promises? They go like, well, that was a campaign period. Now this is reality. So, but the point I'm making is that, yes, we need to mobilize people to actually make the leaders fulfill their promises. Yeah. But then when the change permeates to everyone, they don't even need to be reminded to fulfill their promises. It just comes naturally to them that we make a commitment, we are driven by patriotism, we are driven by the need to make a change, we're going to fulfill that promise. So both the leadership level and the followership level needs to see the need to put the interest of the country above personal interest. When that is done, we don't even need to be reminded. Everything else will fall in place. Okay. The right motive, the right action, the right environment, and the right result will follow.